Evening, everyone. It is so exciting to see everybody today. My name is Marielle Milano, and I am the Director for Family Engagement with Orange County Public Schools. And tonight is our first virtual college admissions panel of the 23-24 season. We'd love to welcome you all tonight. We have a lineup of all of our best Florida public universities this evening who are going to be able to share with you all of their admissions requirements and what makes their school the perfect fit for your student. Now, a few things before we get started. You are going to notice that you have closed captions available at the bottom left of your screen. And so if you need a translation or if you would like closed captioning for any other reason, you can click there and choose from any one of 1,000 different languages. And so that's a perfect way to personalize this experience for you. So just haga clic en la selección su idioma preferido. Okay. Now, here's our agenda. We are going to go ahead and give each of our panel spotlights 5 to 7 minutes to share all of the amazing things that they have going on at their schools. And I believe you will have a hard time picking. Two of my alma maters are on tonight, and I know that it's going to be a great discussion. After they have an opportunity to share all of their spotlights, then we'll have a discussion about some of the questions that you have as parents that we know are some of those burning questions that occur for everyone in the college admissions process. I have 4 daughters. I know, crazy. My youngest is 6 and my oldest is 20. And so I have a sophomore in college this year and a senior in high school. So I'm actually listening as a mom myself tonight for the first time. And I am super anxious and excited about the college admissions season. And then we will end our discussion with an opportunity to hear your questions this evening and be able to get them hopefully all answered. Anything that we don't have a chance to answer before we close our session, we will absolutely reply to you in email so you have an opportunity to get those questions answered and make the best decision for your child. Now, if you're not able to hear us for whatever reason, remember you can click on that closed captioning or you can click on the down arrow next to the mute microphone to change your audio. We'll also post the call-in number so you can call in as well. With that, let's go ahead and talk about the rules of the road. So during this webinar, you're going to be able to interact with our panelists in the chat box, and you can do that by clicking on the speech bubble and being able to post your questions. Make sure you select everyone, otherwise only a few people might see your question and we might miss it. If you hear something that you absolutely love, don't be afraid to react by using our emojis. We've got plenty of exciting emojis to choose from, and you can react to any of the slides as you see that. You can also raise your hand as needed. Tonight, we have colleges from across the state, including Florida Gulf Coast University, Florida Polytechnic, Florida A&M, Florida International University, University of Central Florida, Florida State University, University of North Florida, University of West Florida, and University of Florida. So without further ado, we will go ahead and begin with the fabulous Florida Gulf Coast University, where I just graduated from with my master's degree. So I am turning it over to Mr. Jamari Jones. Passing over your privileges now, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you all for coming in. My name is Jamari Jones. I go by JJ as well. So I am an undergraduate admissions counselor here at Florida Gulf Coast University. So here's my contact information. I'm actually the local recruiter for the Orlando region. So if any of you want to take a snapshot or get this information, or maybe you get it at the end, then that'll be good. So We can go ahead and get started. So here at the university, we currently have 16,000 students at the university now, with an average classroom size of about 33 students per class. So, we really cater to the student learning experience, where, the students get a lot more attention in the classrooms. You get to, grow relationships with your professors, which really, really does help when it comes to growing relationships. And then that helps us place top two in the state of Florida when it comes to job placements after graduation. Um, just because I see some people saying they don't see the information. Is it not sharing?
It's definitely sharing.
Okay,
Yep. They see
okay,
it FSU Fastback or FGCU Fastbacks.
okay. So some people say they can't. Okay, so cool. So yeah, we place top two in the state when it comes to job placements after graduation, and that's really because we're able to grow those relationships with the professors. That's really, really important. And a lot of students that need that smaller setting in order for them to, be able to raise their hands, ask questions, different things like that. We really cater to. And we also do service learning at the university, so you have to do at least 80 hours of service learning before you can obtain your degree. And for myself, I did over 200 hours because I knew what I wanted to do. And so by the time I graduated, I had over, 2 years of experience working with youth because it was all concentrated. And so we do also have 15 Athletic One teams that we support, as well as over 250 student-run organizations, multicultural clubs, cooking clubs, gaming clubs, you name it, we got it. We do offer many different things to do at the university. We're one of the only programs that have the PGA Golf Management Program, which is about 16 institutions that offer it. So this is something that students really are interested in, and which makes us kind of unique in a sense. And then we also have different things you can do, whether it's 3D, you can do stock trading, learn how to do stock with like the Nasdaq in the School of Business, and then many different technologies that we utilize within the classroom. This is the freshman housing here on campus, which is called South Village. So we do have 84% of freshmen staying here on campus. It's not required to stay on campus for a freshman, but it's definitely recommended. So we do offer 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom suites where we don't really have dorms at the university because you never share a room with anyone, whether it's upperclassmen housing or freshman housing. So you always keep that sense of privacy as a student. And we're only 25 years old, so everything's fairly new at the university. So it's really, really nice resort style living for freshmen when they do get to campus. And so we have many, many different majors. We're still growing as a university. So we currently have about 63 different majors that students can choose from, about 26 different masters and 7 different doctoral degrees that you can pursue at the university. Our School of Entrepreneurship, which is I got my degree in and I'm getting my master's in, was actually ranked #1 in the state, top 15 in the country. So that's something that's really, really prestigious, and it's just came around about 4, maybe 5 years ago. And then we also do offer nursing, which is really, really big in this area, given that it's a lot of retirement around here. So a lot of the people that join the nursing program are passing at almost 100%, which is pretty incredible. So we do have many different majors for students to select from. And then this is pretty much the heart of campus. So we're a green school. So, most of the stuff that you see in as far as the university, how it looks, it's going to remain the same because we can't grow or cut down any of the green that we do have on campus. So that gives you an opportunity to see different things like otters on campus, gators. They have panther crossing signs, but I've yet to see a panther. I've seen deer. We have bear cameras. So a lot of different nature and different habitats on campus. And then on this circle is where a lot of our events are held at. So we do have an Eagle X. I'm not an Eagle Expo, but like an open house for people to come to, which is in October, and a lot of that will be hosted here. And then at the top of the screen, you can see like many different buildings. That's where most of the classes are, with the exception of a few different locations on campus where classes are. But you can see how close together everything is. So you don't really have to worry about scheduling classes 30 minutes out or an hour out to get from one class to the next because everything's fairly close together. So when you talk about stacking all of your classes, being able to, have enough time to be a part of different organizations, have enough time to go to work, just so that you can stack your classes and, have that time. That's something that the university's layout kind of helps with. And it also helps to build community because you're going to see a lot of the same people, even though it's 16,000 people. It'll never feel like 16,000 people on the campus, which is pretty nice. So, um, this is the most important slide. So, our application opened up on August 1st. So it will close November 1st for early action, which grants you top priority consideration for merit scholarship, as well as your here decision back on your application around late December, early January. And I know for us and maybe some of the other universities, but housing will be a problem if you wait too long. So I like to tell people to make sure you do your applications within the early action period so that you can get an early decision and you can kind of weigh those things out before the admissions deadline in May 1st. Because if you do wait until May 1st, there's a possibility that you might not have housing. So if you do everything fairly early, you can start to weigh those things out sooner. If you decide that you don't want to do early action, then you can do regular decision, which is March 1st. But I will say 90% of the class will be filled by mid-February. So you want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve and not wait too late. And you can apply through the Common App or the FGCU website. Either or is fine with us. And then at the bottom is just a few different averages. So we had a 3.89 weighted GPA, an 1141 SAT, or a 23 ACT. So, we accept above, at, or below those averages. Just kind of depends on how your application weighs out. But we do super score at the university. So submit as many tests that you've taken, and we'll accept tests all the way up through March to be considered for admissions. And then last but not least, just a little bit of breakdown of tuition. So we're all Florida residents. Tuition here is only $6,000, a little bit over 6,000. And so if we do add in on-campus housing and meal plans, then it'll be about $16,000. So we do have 45% of students that come in and receive merit scholarship, and 60% of students that graduate from here, or 59% graduate zero debt. So there's a plenty of opportunity for you to get a good degree. And to be able, I know some people that actually stack all of their scholarships and pretty much get paid to go to school. So that's pretty nice. So for Florida residents, we have the President's Gold Scholarship, which is a $5,000 scholarship that you can receive every year up to 4 years. And then President Silver, which is $3,000 every year up to 4 years. And these do stack with Florida Prepaid, Bright Futures, any outside scholarships that you all receive. So it's a great opportunity for you to actually stack these scholarships up and make sure that you maybe can graduate zero debt. I graduated zero debt and I didn't receive any of those things. So um, my Pell Grant pretty much paid for my full tuition. So that's something else. If you get financial aid, it stacks with all of those as well. So we do also have a foundation scholarship. It'll open up October 1st, and you'll have until May 1st to complete it for the following fall semester. And all you have to do is answer 5 questions about yourself, and they'll match whatever those answers are to FGCU like donors. They donate those things and they'll match those answers to certain scholarships. So every year as a student, I got one for being a first generation student in combination with the entrepreneurship major. So that's something else that you can also stack onto your Bright Futures merit scholarships and any other outside scholarships that you receive. So yeah, that's pretty much the presentation. And that's just my card again. So if any of you want to take down the information and you need help with the process, I'd be happy to help you all out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. I know lots of people were asking for your information in the chat. We will take questions at the end for all of our participants, but I do know there is a few in the chat that are just for you. Some of them are about sports, so you might want to take a look at that. There
Okay.
were some questions about your football and soccer teams and some of the GPA requirements. So we will have Mr. Jones jump in and share some information about FGCU. And we encourage you to put your information in the chat as well in terms of your email address and your phone number. All right, next up, we are going to head on over to Florida Polytechnic University. So I am going to make Diego a presenter.
All right, are you guys able to see my screen?
We sure are. Welcome.
All right, perfect. So, hello everyone. My name is Diego Arriaga. I am an admissions counselor at Florida Polytechnic University. Today I'll be giving a little bit of an overview of what my institution is, a little bit of the things that make us different. And while we get started, there is going to be a QR code on the top right that you guys are welcome to scan. The QR code is going to go ahead and ask a few questions like your name, your contact information. So after the presentation, if you guys want to go ahead and get more information from us, whether it be by mail, whether it be in a phone call, whether it be in communication via text message, we can go ahead and help you with any questions that you may have. This slide will also be at the end. So if you guys want to go through the presentation first, listen what we have to offer, and then go ahead and fill out that QR code, we can go ahead and do that too. So just to get us started, I wanted to talk a little bit of what makes Florida Poly special and unique. Now, we are part of the SUS system. So just like all the other institutions that are going to be presenting today, we are in that public sector. But the biggest thing that makes us different from the other institutions is that we're the only one in the state of Florida that's 100% STEM. So that means that all of our programs of study are going to be under the umbrella of science, technology, engineering, and math. And that really basically makes us a very, very focused school because everything that we do here is going to be catered towards that hands-on project learning, small STEM classes. For us, we have a professor to student ratio that's 1 to 16, and we have an average class size between 20 to 25 students. Of course, those general education courses can get a little bit bigger, but here at Florida Poly, it goes only up to 40. So we don't have any lecture halls, we don't have any big classrooms. We are very, very hands-on. Now, when it comes to Florida Poly, we are ranked pretty high up in a lot of really, really great rankings. But what I'd like to go ahead and say is that we are a very new school. So we're actually going into our 10th year this year. We haven't been here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We're relatively new, so we're very proud of where we are at the current moment. Now, when we look at some of the things that also makes us a little bit different is our academic profile. So we do something very, very different when it comes to our application cycle. We do a very thorough holistic approach. Now, of course, we do require test scores, we do require GPAs. And one thing I tell everybody is to not get scared of those benchmarks. When we look at your application, we're actually looking at about 50 different data points. We're looking at the different extracurricular activities. We're looking at the clubs, the organizations you were a part of. We're looking at the amount of volunteering hours you did. We're looking at everything from the different math classes, the different science classes that you have taken. So make sure that when you're doing that application for Florida Poly, that you are doing that application like if you were bragging about yourself, because we want to know everything from you. We want to know the full picture. Now, speaking of the academics at Florida Poly, we like to say that we have 3 pillars at Florida Poly. Those are going to be exploration, creation, and implementation. So here at Florida Poly, from day one, all students will have access to the different labs, the different facilities, the different resources that our school has to offer. So those 3D printing facilities, those capstone labs will be open to our students. We don't have you wait till your 2nd or 3rd year before you start going into that major core. In fact, we have a lot of different initiatives so that students, whether it being that they're creating mobile applications, whether they're creating innovations outside of the classroom, we have a lot of initiatives to push that. One of the things that we do here at Florida Poly is something called Startup Nights. Startup Nights is when we invite community members into the campus and students are able to pitch their ideas, kind of like Shark Tank. They're able to pitch their ideas to the community members, and a lot of them, sometimes they get funding to continue working on those projects that they have going on. And that is also inside of the classroom. Students, their first year, since we are a STEM school, they will have a lot of similar classes that first year, those calculuses, those physics, those courses like that. And hand in hand with that, we have a few courses that are considered project-based. So students from the first year, they will have the opportunity of working with team members, working with faculty to create innovative projects to go ahead and explore the different areas of engineering and computer science that may be of interest for them. Now, as I mentioned, Florida Poly is 100% STEM, so all of our programs fall under that umbrella. Now, here we did things a little bit different because we looked at the workforce and we said, which are the areas of our industry, of our economy that need that demand? And that's what we went ahead and created our different programs of study. So you'll notice that our programs of study are catered for that. You have your big hitters like mechanical engineering, cybersecurity, computer science, environmental engineering, industrial engineering. But another really cool thing about Florida Poly is that those are going to be your majors, but within those majors, we have something called concentrations. So at Florida Poly, we don't have minors, we have concentrations. Concentrations are going to be like your specializations within different fields. So for example, let's say you want to go ahead and study computer science. Well, computer science is a very, very broad field, but within computer science, you can do artificial intelligence, game development, software engineering, intelligent mobility. The same with electrical engineering. In electrical engineering, you can go ahead and specialize in automotive, energy, robotics. For mechanical engineering, you have concentrations like aerospace, automotive, energy, robotics, and simulation. And the really great thing about our programs of study is that we have something called advanced topics. So for advanced topics, it's a little bit of a category where students are able to meld more than one program into two. So what that means is, let's say that you want to go ahead and do electrical engineering, but you also want to get some exposure to computer science. In our school, you can go ahead and do electrical engineering as your major, your main program of study, but we can go ahead and allow you to take courses within a different program of study so that you're also getting exposure to a different skill set, so that once you leave Florida Poly, you're a well-rounded student, depending on the career pathway that you want to follow. Now, we do also have something called the STEM core. Since all of our programs of study are considered STEM, we have something called the STEM core, which is basically the backbone to all of our programs. That's going to be the foundation of courses that all students have to take here at Florida Poly. These are going to be your calculus, your physics, your chemistries, your applied mathematics, your concepts and methods, and also introduction to computation and programming. So if you are a junior, if you are a senior right now at the high school level, you want to make sure that you're incorporating these courses in your curriculum. So if you're a junior and you're doing pre-calculus, you're on the great track. And next year, you should be aiming for calculus. If you're doing dual enrollment and you have the opportunity of doing chemistry, if you have the opportunity of doing physics, if you have the opportunity of doing an introduction to programming course, these are the classes that you want to go ahead and take now, because they're going to go ahead and count towards your first year here. And in fact, more than 75% of the students that come to Florida Poly, they don't come to us as first year students, they actually come to us as second year students, because through their high school, whether it be in dual enrollment, whether it be in AP courses, whether it be in ACE, or whether it be in IB courses, they have done a little bit of the back work to get here with some college credit already under their belt. Now, if you don't have any college credit under your belt, that's not going to go ahead and be a disadvantage. This is something that is just a parameter that some students meet, but of course, if you do not have, let's say, AP Calculus, that's perfectly fine. I did also want to talk a little bit about something that we call senior capstone projects. So capstone projects, they're not new, they're not something that's only done at Florida Poly. This is something that's done at a lot of different schools, but we do things a little bit different here at Florida Poly with our capstone projects, and that's that 100% of our students are required to take one, but also 90% of our capstone projects are industry sponsored. And what does that mean? Basically, it means that companies come to us and they say, hey, we have a problem. We'd like your students to provide a solution. So what we then do is we get a group of students to work with this company during their senior year, which is about 9 months, and they will go ahead and work with this company to provide a resolution to that problem. And the different types of capstone projects that our students are working on, they're not dull, they're not boring, they're relevant, and they're exciting. So these are some of the projects that our students have had the opportunity of working with. We have some students that recently worked with a defense company working with the US military for tracking systems and drones. We've had a group of students who also work with the Space Institute to provide feedback on their Mars rover on a project called the Marsupial Project. We've also had students working with advanced glucose monitoring, bionic physical therapy. We had a group of students working with a cruise line to develop a magnetic robot which attaches to the hull of the ship to go ahead and clean it from the outside. So the different capstone projects that our students are working on are very, very relevant to the industries that they want to go into. And on top of that, we're the only state university that requires 100% of our students to go ahead and have an internship by the time they graduate. So that means that all in all, by the time that students graduate from Florida Poly, they have about 1 year of experience of working with a company and working with hands-on projects. Now, once students go ahead and leave Florida Poly, we have some really great benchmarks. On top of all the really great companies that have opened their doors for our students, one of the benchmarks that we're really proud of is that within 90 days of graduation, 75% of our students are able to get a job, but not just any job, they're able to get a job in their field. So we work really hard so that students not just graduate, but once they graduate, they're able to land the job that they want to get. Now, another thing that we're proud of, but I do say it with a really big asterisk attached to it, is that amongst the 12 state universities, Florida Poly is actually ranked the number one as far as starting income. Now, I do say that with a big asterisk because since we're the only school that is 100% STEM with computer scientists, engineers, it does give us a little bit of a leg up as far as starting wages go. Now, if you all get the opportunity of coming to campus, you'll notice that it's very, very unique. The architecture, the vibe, the different technologies that are within our campus, it's very different to the other campuses that I have visited. And if you ever get the chance of coming to Florida Poly, especially in the next upcoming months, you'll notice that there's going to be a lot of construction. So we are a growing school. We are currently in development of 5 more buildings on top of what we already have on campus. The one that you guys see on screen right now, this is the Applied Research Center. This is where students go to build. This is where you have your capstone labs. This is where you have your 3D printing facilities, your physics labs, your simulation labs, your chemistry labs. So this is the area where students go to build, to research, and to do those different projects that they have going on. But on top of that, we are building a few more buildings, like I mentioned. 2 of those are going to be residence halls. Currently, we have 2 residence halls on campus, but every year we get about a 41% increase in applications. And in order to meet that demand, we are growing our residence halls. One is set to be open in, I believe, fall of 2024, and then the 4th one is set to open in the fall of 2025. Uh, campus housing is in demand. So one thing I do tell you guys is to make sure that you apply early so that you can get in. At the end of the presentation, I'll go over some of the deadlines so that you guys have that in mind. But do make sure that you keep in mind that housing is in limited demand. We do have some global partnerships. One of the companies that has put a lot of faith in us is a company called IFF. IFF is basically a Fortune 500 company that has decided to put one of their branches on campus. Now, they are going to be doing a lot of research in the citrus industry. So they're putting their branch on campus because we're right in the center of the state in Lakeland, Florida. And on top of that, they have gone ahead and said that they're going to go ahead and help us out with capstone projects, with internship opportunities, with research opportunities for our students. And they're also going ahead and building a few more buildings for our engineering students. So hopefully within the next few years, you'll see that campus is going to be probably about twice the size that it currently is. Now, thus far, I've only been talking about the academics, but I did want to touch a little bit on what happens outside of the classroom. Now, we are a new institution, so we don't have any multi-million-dollar facilities devoted for sports, but we do have a healthy amount of sports that include powerlifting, soccer, lacrosse, archery, but we do have a good amount of student population that is a little bit more interested on the technological base. So we do have several robotics teams, we do have several esports teams, and we do have several groups of students that go ahead and compete in different competitions like hackathons. So we have a little bit of something for everybody, but everything that has been created at Florida Poly based on club sports, based on university teams, has been student-led. So one thing I like to say is that if there's something that's not here already, we're more than happy to provide the resources for you guys as long as there's student support. Now, the deadlines. So we do follow a pretty streamlined approach for our deadlines. Our application is open from August 1st to March 1st of every application cycle. And when it comes to our early action, it is going to be November 15th. I always recommend that all students, if you know that Florida Poly is one of the schools that you're considering, that you apply before November 15th. A lot of our scholarships, they also have deadlines. And some of the larger scholarships, like our Alexander scholarships or our Provo scholarships, if you want to be considered for one of them, you want to definitely apply before November 15th. Our Alexander scholarship is $40,000. Our Provo scholarships are $12,000 or $20,000. So you definitely want to be in the runs for one of these two. Of course, if you apply after November 15th, you can still get into the school and you can still get some financial aid. It's just that that amount of awarding is going to be probably a little bit more reduced. Now, as far as everything outside of the institution, like Florida Prepaid, Bright Futures, Pell Grants, we go ahead and accept all of that, and we do follow a similar model to FGCU where it's stacked. So if you go ahead and get multiple different scholarships, multiple different grants, it all can be used towards tuition, and whatever is left over can go ahead and be used for the other expenses like room and board. And then for our costs, our full-time tuition and fees, which is going to be 30 credit hours per year, so that's fall and spring, 15 credit hours each, is just under $5,000. Our room and board is going to be around $12,000, and this is going to go ahead and include the meal plan. And then the books and supplies about $1,200, bringing a total to $18,359 for all fees with no financial aid. Do keep in mind that 86% of our students get Florida Bright Futures, and about 95% of our students get a Florida Poly Merit Grant. And when you go ahead and add all of that up, there is a good percentage of students here at Florida Poly that don't have to go ahead and worry about tuition. They usually just have to worry about whatever amount is left over for room and board. But of course, like I mentioned, all the different types of grants, scholarships can be applied to room and board. And then here is the final slide again. If you would like any additional information or for a counselor to go ahead and follow up with you, go ahead and scan the QR code and we will reach out to you within a few days. The QR code is very simple. It just asks for your contact information, your name, and also what program of study you may be interested in.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to share all of that with us. For those of you who are joining, we have so far heard from Florida Gulf Coast University and Florida Polytechnic University, and we will now be moving on to our next college. All presenters, do me a favor and be as mindful as you can of our time so we can try to get everybody out on time. A lot of our families have dedicated their evenings to us, so we want to be mindful of that. And I am so excited to see 715 families have joined us this evening already. Next up, we are going to hear from Florida International University, and that is going to be with Miss Maria Ray. I'm passing you the ball to present Miss Maria. And I'm moving you to the stage now. All right, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Greetings, everybody. My name is Marie Ray. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at Florida International University. I see some Panthers in here. Yes, go Panthers. Amazing, amazing. Okay. So FIU is one of the top institutions in the state of Florida. Yes, top. So welcome to the greatness. Okay. We have about 57,000 students. We are considered the fifth largest in the country. I say it, in the country. Okay. Out of that amount, we have about 35,000 at our Modesto-Medici campus, and 4,000 of the rest of that amount at our Biscayne Bay campus. If you've ever been to Miami, Modesto-Medici campus is more south of Miami. Think about like almost to Homestead, but not really. And then the Biscayne Bay campus is like more to the beaches. So if you're a beach bum like I am, you will love the Biscayne Bay campus. Okay. FIU has 11 schools and colleges, 200-degree programs, and more. And our tuition is $6,500 in state. Okay. We are a public institution. A lot of our top programs are engineering, nursing, architecture, marine bio. We have an underwater campus. I said it, underwater campus is located in the Keys. NASA uses it for their research, so we're on trend. With our engineering campus, we have a wall of wind, so we test Category 5 hurricanes because Florida, we love us some hurricanes, right? Not really, but we do, right? So we try to create different types of ways of protecting ourselves if we ever have major hurricanes so we can be safe, okay? So this gives you a little landscape of our campuses. Like I said, Medicine campus, that is our main campus, more south of Miami. Biscayne Bay campus is another satellite campus. Medicine has 80% of the majors. Biscayne Bay has the other 20. The other satellite campuses are more attached to different majors. So like I said, one of our top programs is business, especially international business. Yes. So some of the satellite campuses will be downtown Brickell FIU and our FIU at I-75, okay? For our architecture and our art majors, once you gotta get to your upper level classes, you can go to our satellite campus on South Beach. This is Lincoln Road. We call the Miami Beach Urban Studios. Yes. And then Engineering Center is about 5-10 minutes away from our Medicine campus, okay? Perfect. Now, our rankings, like I said, we're one of the top programs, top schools in the state of Florida. We were recently ranked number 4, yes, for the Wall Street Journal. So FIU is doing really big things. Our motto is to be worlds ahead, and every year we top our last year. So we are going up to the sky. So if you want to be a part of a big, great school, FIU is definitely a school to consider. Okay. Now, admissions process. How many of you guys are excited about admissions? Let me get some emotions. Let me get some reactions, some thumbs ups. I see some coming in. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about admissions. Yes, come on with it. So let's talk about admissions, okay? So admissions at FIU is pretty simple, pretty smooth. We're on the Common App, so that's amazing. That's one way to apply to us. You can also apply to our main website, okay? We opened our application July 1st. Okay, so you can start applying. We do not ask for test score information on our main website, our main application, but if it does on Common App, that's perfectly fine. You can still submit your application. We only make decisions when we receive official documents from either College Board, ACT, and your high school transcripts. We accept that parchment electronically, email. Your counselors can email it to me. We're a partner. We can make this thing smooth, or they can mail it to us. Okay. These are our dates and deadlines for our scholarship application that's going to be open. We do have an early action admissions process. Yes. So you have to complete your application by October 23rd. Okay. Have the application completed, but have your full application, that means high school transcripts, test scores, application fee, by November 7th. Okay. When you have that completed by that deadline, you will get a decision by November 15th. Okay. So that is our early action. It's non-binding. Okay. So you can apply early, get your decision, and get that out the way. All right. We are considering taking the CLT, and that will be something that we will be accepting as well. Okay. Now, as far as our codes, I have it on this slide. Our typical averages for our majors and for our admissions, the average admitted student from last year was a 4.4 and a 1300 SAT and a 30 ACT. Okay, we've accepted students above that, we've accepted students below that. Okay, we have different pathways from fall, summer STEM. We even have our AA to freshman pathway. Well, not really freshman, but AA to transfer. So if you're going to graduate with an AA degree when you get your high school diploma, we have a pathway for you, and that pathway is test optional. Okay. All right. I know I'm almost done with time. Like I said, we are a public institution. So we do accept FAFSA. So if you are interested in applying for the summer 2024, do the application that's open right now, okay? If you're going for the falls or the following spring 2025, then do the application that open in December 1st. I recommend doing both just to safeguard yourself, okay? We are a merit-based school. We have the money for you. We have merit-based presidential scholars, which is 100% tuition, and books, and our ambassadors merit scholarship, which is 75% tuition and books. Okay, we have Raise.me. Definitely encourage you guys to get that. It is the part where you can log all your extracurricular activities, leadership, and raise those funds. Yes, 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 we do have Honors College, okay? I encourage you guys to apply for that. We have 2 different ways for admissions with that. So definitely go on honors.fiu.edu to get more information on that. We do have housing. It's not mandatory to do housing as a freshman, but I definitely encourage it. Come tour us. We're open. It's free to see our campus. Come visit us, right? We're beautiful. We're amazing. It's Miami. Why not? And on this screen is my contact information. I'm sorry it's a little rushed, but I only have a few minutes. But definitely connect with me after. This is my email, mray@fiu. Yes, that is my work number. And if you see on top, I have an Instagram. Yes. So you can follow me on FIU_W. And if you want more insights on high school visits, on admissions, on our events, come on down. But yes, bye. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me see some reactions.
Okay, y'all, that's a tough act to follow. That's a lot of energy for 6:45 on a Tuesday night. So thank you so much. That's amazing. I love that you shared you have an underwater campus, so many cool things about South Florida. So guys, we've so far heard from, if you're just joining us after work, we've heard from Florida Gulf Coast University, Florida Polytechnic University, and FIU. And now we are going to be moving on to our local hometown heroes, University of Central Florida. That's where I got my undergraduate degree and is certainly a local choice for many. Panelists, please feel free to jump in on the chat. There are so many questions about fall open houses, fall previews. Feel free to share your contact information there. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Elizabeth Costello. And everyone who is listening, do not panic. Everyone will receive a copy of the PowerPoint at the end of the session and a recording. So go ahead and sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentations.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Costello. I serve as the Director of Recruitment here at UCF, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Like she said, the information that is being presented tonight is we're going quick, so I'm sure it's a lot of information to take in, but definitely coming to our website is going to be something that you're going to want to go to all of our websites to kind of see more information about all of us, because there's a lot to learn about all of our great schools within the state of Florida. Just a few brief things about UCF. We are obviously a large public research institution, part of the state system. We're located right here in Orlando. We have a little over 68,000 students, which makes us one of the larger institutions in the country. We're made up of 13 colleges with over 200 degree programs. So lots of things to choose from. So there's a lot of benefits of going to a large public institution. And one of them is a lot of choices. You don't have to come in with a decided major. There's a lot of things that you can be discovering about yourself as you go through your college years, and you don't have to have a major initially when you apply. And that's one of the questions we get a lot. So education here in Florida at UCF and all of my sister institutions is extremely affordable. We are so lucky to be in the state of Florida that education is so affordable here. You have so many great choices. We at UCF are ranked as some of the best educational values by Kiplinger and Forbes, and definitely with bright futures and all of the great opportunities here in Florida. We hope that you all choose to stay in the state. Absolutely. Some of the things at the bottom, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. We have a lot of clubs and organizations, 650 plus organizations that you can choose from. We are big, obviously, but we do have an average class size of 28. So a lot of people think that the only classes that you're going to be in at a big university are going to be those huge lecture halls. And we will have some of them, but we also have smaller classes as well. Extremely proud of our first year retention rate, which is 93%. The national average for schools like UCF, our size and where we're located, is about 74%. So we're thrilled that students come to UCF, and not only that, they stay at UCF and they graduate. So so a lot of really great things. But the last one at the very bottom is one I think is one of the things that we are most proud of, is that 46% of our students graduate educationally debt-free. College is extremely expensive, as you know. We get it. No matter, even though we're extremely affordable, it's definitely a challenge at times for students to meet those costs of attendance. But we are thrilled that we're able to have the financial aid available for students so that many of them will graduate educationally debt-free. But what you're probably here to listen about is more about the admissions process. So I'll quickly go over that with you. Definitely applying early is going to be important. We want you to apply, excuse me, we want you to apply in September to November of the senior year. That's the optimal time for both admission, financial aid, scholarships, housing, all of that. We are enrolling admissions, so we do accept applications later in the year, but there are fewer spaces available if you wait till the end. And that's also has to do with our financial aid and our scholarships. So applying early is important. I put our deadlines up here, and those are our drop dead deadlines, but I hope that you remember that September to November is the best time to apply if you're looking for summer or fall. Those are the absolute deadlines, but those are not the days you should be aiming for. You should be aiming for that fall of your senior year. We're going to begin releasing decisions for summer and fall of 2024 later this month. So students that have applied in the past about month and a half, we'll start getting decisions at that point, probably the end of this month. And then we're unrolling, so we'll be releasing decisions weekly throughout the rest of the year. What we look for, for the components of an application are pretty simple. It's an application. It is a $30 application fee. And then you would also submit your SAT, your ACT, or your CLT. We now at the State University system just last week approved the CLT to be accepted. So it was not, when we did this PowerPoint, it wasn't official yet, so I didn't want to add it on there, but all of the state universities will be taking all 3 tests. We do need official scores sent to us. And then you'll have your, what we call the SPARK, the self-provided academic record for nights. And that's where you'll take your high school transcript, and then you'll enter all of your grades and all of your courses. And that's what we use to make an evaluation when we're making an evaluation for admission. So the SPARK is a very important piece. You don't have to send an official transcript initially for review. The SPARK is what you need to have done. So once those 4 things are done, it goes to the admissions committee for review. This is just some information about our class that just entered to the university, the application numbers, how many students have actually entered. So for fall, we had about 4,800. In summer, we had another 3,100. So our class was about 8,200 total. And then we'll also have about 600 students, freshmen, starting in the spring. These mid-ranges and averages are just that. They're not cutoffs. They're not numbers that you have to meet or you're not considered for admission, but it's just kind of gives you an idea of where we fall. The mid 50% will fall between that GPA of a 4.1 and a 4.5. That just also means 25% have higher than the 4.5 and 25% have lower than the 4.1. So please don't let those numbers scare you. We know they're competitive, but they're not cutoff numbers by any means. So, and our class averages are in there as well. So, and again, we don't have the CLT on there yet, but they will be updating our website soon with that information. And as I said, admissions definitely is something probably you're all thinking about, but also scholarship opportunities. And that's why it's really important to apply early. We have a November 1st merit-based scholarship priority deadline. It's not an admissions deadline. It is not admissions deadline at all, but it is, if you want to be looking for scholarships, you want to get your completed application, all 4 components that I mentioned, you want them on in our office by November 1st. And that's when students that have met that date will be looked at for merit scholarships. If we have money remaining after, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, But if we have money remaining, we'll look at students who have applied after that November 1st deadline. But if you are looking for a merit scholarship, really, really important to have everything in: the application, the fee, the spark, and your test scores by that November 1st deadline. About 25% of our students will get a scholarship, a merit scholarship, but there's also other opportunities for students as well. It's not just that. There's Florida Bright Futures, which I mentioned before. You may have things like Florida Prepaid. That's also a wonderful way to pay for school if you can. A2O is unique to UCF and for students who have been offered admission and they have what we call their NID. They're able to go onto our A2O site and look for scholarship opportunities there as well. And I always encourage students to look for those scholarships from the moment they're offered admission through the time they're graduating, because there's a lot of money out there. And that site gives students the opportunity to submit one application, and then any scholarship that you would be qualified for, that application is used as a consideration for it. So definitely, if you're looking at UCF, that A2O site off of our financial aid Office of Student Financial Assistance website is a great one to go to. And then there's a lot of external scholarships as well. You may have opportunities to look at there may be organizations or clubs that you're a member of, things of that nature. Definitely look at all of those. Financially, it's definitely challenging, obviously, to pay for college, but there are a lot of opportunities out there, and keep your eyes open for them. And then finally, just a quick application timeline. This is pretty much what we are looking for, is a general look for what students should be doing in the fall: applying, coming to our open houses. If you haven't been to our campus, I hope many of you have, since we're here locally, but it is an opportunity to come visit the campus with what we call Night for a Day, and those are Saturday events. In December, we will be having the FAFSA will be opening up in December. It's a little later this year than it's been in previous years, but our priority FAFSA deadline will be February 15th. So you want to have your FAFSA done if you're looking for need-based financial aid. It will be important to meet that February 15th deadline. And then May 1st is when you commit to an institution and submit your enrollment deposit. So we're hoping that you choose to be a Knight, and that would be the day that you would submit an enrollment deposit for us. And then in the summer is when you kind of go through that transition of attending orientation and doing all the things, getting ready to start school in either the summer or the fall. So we definitely are hoping that you would come visit us as well. Here's some information about what we have open. We have tours and what we call the campus visit experience, Monday through Friday at 10 and 2 every single day. And then we also have some of our other campuses have days you can visit as well. If you're looking at our Rosen campus, which is down on I-Drive, they have tours as well. And our UCF downtown campus, which is in downtown Orlando, also has opportunities for you to come visit. So that was a really, really brief overview, but I want to give everyone an opportunity to let you all know things, to go onto our website to find more information and more detailed information. And then this is all of our contact information. So if you want to reach out to us, please feel free to send an email or give us a phone call. But we would love to have you on campus, and we wish you the best of luck in your college search.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know as such a large university, it can be difficult to share in such a small amount of time, but you did a wonderful job. There are a few parents with specific questions for UCF in the chat box about Direct Connect and some of your arts programs, which I know you are certainly renowned for. So please go ahead and answer those while we move on to the next presentation. All right. Our next presentation is from the University of North Florida, and that is going to be with the fantastic Emma. Let's see if I can find Emma at the top here. Oh, there she is. Perfect. And I will give it to you to take it away.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. So, like she said, my name is Emma. I am one of the admissions recruiters from the University of North Florida. We are located up in Jacksonville. Hopefully I can go ahead and switch this page. I'm not sure if I can.
1 second. So sorry. Give me just
It's okay.
You should be able to now.
There we go. Perfect. So got a little jumbled there, but University of North Florida, if you're not familiar with us, we did celebrate our 50th anniversary last year. So we're in year 51. Right now, we are a relatively medium-sized campus. We have about 17,000 students. We are 15 minutes from the beach and 20 minutes from downtown Jacksonville. We do have a 19-to-1 student-faculty ratio, and most of our classes cap off around 35 students. Again, this does depend on what type of classes you're taking. Of course, they'll get more concentrated once you, start focusing on your major, and they'll get smaller, but it really allows for a lot of interaction with your professors. We do have over 100 majors on our campus. A lot of students don't know this about us, but I mean, we have a lot of health-related majors, definitely within our Cotton College of Business. We also offer computing, engineering, construction. I myself have 2 degrees from UNF in psychology and criminal justice, and I'm working on a master's degree as well. So we have a lot of great opportunities. I encourage you to kind of check out our website to go a little bit further into what we offer. But some brief overview for health, we do offer nursing as well. We also have our Hicks Honors College. I know some of the other institutions did speak on this. It's basically an attachment onto your major. This is something that you can apply to when you are admitted to UNF. It's a great opportunity. We also have our campus tours, and with these campus tours, we have a specific Hicks Honors College one. Dr. J, he is right down there in the bottom corner. He's the Dean of the Honors College, and he will be there and discussing everything that you'll need to know about it. We also have a lot of different services, first year advising, career resources, counseling center, as well as a lot of tutoring opportunities. And forgive me for talking so fast. I'm just trying to get through as much as humanly possible. But I did want to discuss our living options on campus. So because we have about 17,000 students, we have a lot of on-campus activity. So we do have over 150 clubs and organizations. This includes Greek life, social clubs, academic-based clubs, great ways for you to get involved and hold some leadership opportunities. We also are located on 1,400 acres of land, and 300 of those are preserved as a nature preserve. So that includes like our Eco Adventures, that has our rope course and zip lining course on campus. And we do have 19 Division I sports, and we're located in the ASUN conference. So if you would like some more information on that engagement, we do have a QR code listed. For the residence life, again, I keep mentioning campus tour. We heavily encourage you to come to Jacksonville, kind of see the surrounding area, but of course our campus. We do have 4 first-year resident options, and a lot of the other universities have been saying the sooner you submit your application, the better chance that you have in regards to getting a housing placement. So I absolutely encourage you to submit those applications, and then once our housing applications open, submit those as soon as possible as well. So talking about our application process, you are able to use our institutional application, or you can go through the Common App as well. There is a $30 application fee, or if you have the fee waiver, definitely send that our way. We do prefer that you send us the SSAR, the SAR. This is the Self-Reported Student Academic Record. If you're not familiar, it's essentially where your student can manually input all of their courses from their freshman year, and they can put in any APs, dual enrollment, ACE or IB program, anything like that. We also require at least 1 test score, so ACT, SAT, and we are also now accepting the CLT test scores. If you do scan that QR code on the screen as well, that will take you to our apply page, and that is where you can see our different requirements for our first year students, as well as how to submit the application since it is open. So for the different requirements, we do recalculate the GPA. So this is going to be based on your core curriculum classes. I essentially tell students that if their weighted GPA, what that is, it could be higher, it could be lower. It truly just depends on kind of what you've received in those courses. And we do grant different weights if that student has taken an AP, IB, dual enrollment, anything like that, and received a C or higher. This is our academic profile for the fall. So this is primarily what we are looking for with a student who is applying to the University of North Florida. These mid-ranges here are 50% of the students who were admitted last year. But when submitting those applications, like I said, we're going to recalculate your GPA into our admissions GPA, and we do super score. So those mid-ranges there for the SAT, ACT, CLT, we're going to take the highest possible score that you have. So definitely send us all testing options if possible. This is kind of a brief rundown of our different deadlines that we have. Like I said, our applications for the summer and fall are currently open. We do have a priority deadline of November 1st. So with that deadline, that is our first deadline that we're going to have for you to receive a decision on November 15th. In the past, if you are familiar with us, we've been on a rolling admissions process. This is the first year where we are going to have a specific day where we are granting those decisions. So if you want to receive a decision by November 15th, please send in all of your information and materials by November 1st. And again, all this information can be found on our website. From more information about our financial aid and scholarships, we do have a priority deadline of January 15th. So even if you submit that application by November 1st, you still have some time to get us maybe some updated test scores if you're wanting to be in consideration for our merit-based scholarships. That can kind of be found here and again listed on our website, but we do have different levels of these merit-based scholarships so that you can kind of see which ones that you might be awarded based on your merit. And again, it goes GPA and a corresponding test score. We have a lot of different events on campus. Our biggest one, I know Orange County is having their huge fair on October 21st, but we also are having a big day on October 21st. It's our Explore UNF. So if you are interested in us, please come out to this. We will have campus tours this day. You'll get to see our resident halls, and we will have representatives from each college who is giving a special presentation. So especially if you know what major that you'd like to go into, I definitely encourage coming to this event. This is just that admissions timeline that a lot of the other universities have been talking about. Definitely keep in mind FAFSA and housing possibilities as well, and secure your spot hopefully well before May 1st, but that's definitely our cutoff. And hopefully, I know that was really, really fast. I wanted to give enough time for all the other universities to present as well as that Q&A portion. But this is going to be our general contact information for the University of North Florida. As I said in the beginning, I'll reintroduce myself. My name is Emma Hansen. I am the regional recruiter in the Central Florida area, and I'll be happy to put my contact information in the chat if y'all would like to contact me directly. But thank you so much for having me.
We can really have the best recruiters in our area. Love the energy, everyone. Great job. Some more great questions in the chat popping up for UNF and some others about travel abroad opportunities, the process for band and arts opportunities. So please feel free, any panelist, to jump into the chat and share information for your school. Again, if you are just joining, this session is being recorded and you will receive a copy of the PowerPoint and all of the slides. Next, we have UWF. Let's see.
Okay, can everyone hear and see me okay?
Alexa?
Yes. Are
Yes,
you able
I
to
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
You
I do
can.
not see you, but I do hear you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what is going on with my camera.
No
But
worries.
I'll just go ahead and get started with the presentation. So my name is Alexa. I am the South Florida Admissions Counselor at UWF. Our Central Florida recruiter, Katie, is actually on the road attending college fairs right now. So I am covering for her. A little bit about myself. I am also a UWF alumni. So I will go ahead and get started.
And you do have the ability to advance the slides just by clicking on the arrows at the top, Alexa.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't have a whole lot of time, but I will gonna go ahead and go over information about UWF, what makes us special, and some of the programs that we offer, as well as our application requirements and freshman scholarship opportunities. So if you don't already know, UWF is located in Pensacola, Florida, and we are a medium-sized university. We have about 13,000 students on our campus. And we do, with that being said, we do have smaller class sizes. So our student to teacher ratio is about 21-1, and our average class size is about 29 students. So this really allows our faculty to provide personalized attention and support to all of our students. Our faculty and staff are at UWF because they love to teach. They want to work with students, be in the classroom, and then, of course, out of the classroom to help them apply their knowledge outside of their classes. So we have 5 academic colleges at UWF. The College of Arts, Social Sciences, and Humanities houses our fine arts programs like the Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, as well as our anthropology and archaeology programs. A little bit about our College of Business. We are AACSB accredited, which is the same accreditation as Harvard's College of Business. Only the top 5% of business schools have this same accreditation. So we are very proud of our programs at UWF, and our College of Business features everything from supply chain logistics to global economics. UWF does offer over 70 different academic programs, so there's definitely lots of options for everybody. This right here is an example of the top 10 majors from this year's freshman class. So as you can see, we have different programs including nursing, psychology, marine biology, and criminal justice. So moving on to the application requirements, we do require a $30 application fee or a fee waiver, your student self-reported academic record, and your ACT or SAT. And like others have mentioned, we now are accepting the CLT test scores as well. So once we've received all 3 of these things, your application will be complete for UWF. So our admissions consideration will begin at a 2.7 weighted GPA, and then we also will look for the state minimum test scores for your subject area test scores on the ACT or the SAT. And we do super score, so we encourage all students to submit all of their test scores because we will take the best scores from every test. This slide is going to be an overview of the estimated first year costs for our freshman students. As you can see, the breakdown includes the tuition cost per credit hour, our tuition cost for a full fall and spring semester, as well as housing and getting a meal plan. So our freshman students are not required to live on campus their first year. However, we do highly encourage it for several different reasons. Our students will be a lot closer to their classes, to their resources, different things like that, but it is not required. And if you are living on campus your first year, you will be required to purchase a meal plan, but if you're not living on campus your freshman year, you won't be required to purchase a meal plan. All right, and we do encourage all students to have their applications complete by December 1st, which is our scholarship priority consideration deadline. So if we receive your application fee or fee waiver, your SSAR, and your test scores, your application will be complete. And if it is completed by the December 1st deadline, you'll automatically be considered for our merit-based scholarship. So you won't have to apply for those separately or anything. You'll automatically be considered. And there are a few other scholarship opportunities that require you to have your application complete by December 1st. So definitely want to keep that date in mind. And this is going to be an overview of our admissions merit-based scholarships. So again, you want to make sure that your application is complete by December 1st so that you will automatically be considered for these scholarships. And then on the screen, you can see the GPA and test scores that are required to be considered. And please keep in mind that eligibility does not guarantee an award. We also do have several other scholarship opportunities available to our freshmen. So we have the National Merit Finalist Scholarship, where if you are a National Merit Finalist, you'll just need to send us that documentation proving so. And that is a full ride scholarship. It will cover your tuition, your meal plan, your on-campus housing, as well as your you'll also receive a textbook stipend and either a research or a study abroad experience with that scholarship. And then we do have something called the Argo Spirit Scholarship that we won't look at any academics, we won't look at GPA or test scores or anything. And students will submit a video essay letting us know how they have Argo Spirit. So whether they, different challenges they've overcome, if they're very involved in their high school and their family, whatever Argo Spirit means to them, they will let us know in their video essay. And if they are awarded that scholarship, it is also a full ride scholarship. So it will cover your tuition, your meal plan, your on-campus housing, and it'll include a textbook stipend as well. And that is all of the information that I have for you guys tonight. I know that was really fast and kind of a lot of information, but I can also put in our admissions email in the chat if you guys have any questions, as well as Katie's contact information if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I heard lots of great questions in there about your scholarships that you're offering, as well as some other pieces. So please feel free to check out the chat and see what else people would like to learn about UWF. I even saw that you had a few alumni in the chat talking about their great college experience. Next up, we have Florida State.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Andrea Flores. I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment at Florida State University in Tallahassee. I am also a proud alum, so graduated from Florida State a long time ago now, but it has held a very special place in my heart for quite some time. So I'm excited to be able to share some information with you guys this evening. We are gonna just rally on through this, get you guys as much information as I can in the few minutes that we have together. Florida State, like I mentioned, is located in Tallahassee, Florida. We are currently ranked in the top 20 of the best public institutions in the entire country. So that is something that we are really, really proud of. Lots of different things will go into us being able to achieve that ranking. Two that I kind of want to highlight for you this evening are going to be both our retention rate as well as our student to faculty ratio. So currently, our retention rate is at a 94%. And basically all that means is that 94% of our students are coming to Florida State and they're staying at Florida State. And we really attribute that to the support that we offer to a lot of our students. Not only do we want students to be academically successful at Florida State, but we want them to be able to develop a career, and a professional path that they are passionate about and that they're proud of. We want to give them access to internships and different hands-on opportunities as a result of that. We also want to support them in that social and emotional piece of that growth and that transition from high school into college. And so especially in that first year, we're going to have a ton of support programs there to help students kind of find their community, find their smaller family within the larger FSU family, and really get them connected so that they have the support that they need to get them across the stage at graduation. With that being said, we do have a 21-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And while that does not mean that every class you will take at Florida State will only have 21 students, what it does mean is that we have made a very conscious effort over the last few years to lower class size at Florida State. Currently, 85% of the classes offered through Florida State will have 40 or less students in them. So that is something that we are continuously working on and trying to improve. We are a big institution. We have over 40,000 students on our campus. And with that is going to come a ton of options. We have over 280 different academic and professional degree programs. There is literally something for everybody. With that being said, I do want to direct you guys to this awesome resource that we have. It's called our Academic Program Guide. And you guys can see the link to the website down at the bottom of your screen. But essentially, this is going to be an A to Z list of every single one of those 280 programs. So anything that you're interested, you can go into that website. You can click on the major. You'll be able to see a full description of the program. You'll also be able to see the mapping requirements, which is like the classes that your student will have to take in order to obtain that specific degree. And now if you have students in high school who are taking dual enrollment classes, this is also a wonderful resource for them because they can go in and they can see, okay, what classes do I need for the specific major that I'm interested in? And they're able to see, take the classes that they need in dual enrollment instead of just taking a bunch of classes that may not be able to transfer in for college. You can also compare a bunch of different majors on this website. So this is a really cool tool, a really great resource as you and your students are deciding on what to study. I'm going to jump into our application process because that I know is the bulk of the questions that we have right now. Our applications will open or are open for our seniors. So for the class of 2024, if you do not currently have a senior, your application will open up the beginning of your student's senior year. The earlier that your student can apply, the better. I will go over dates and deadlines in just a second. But the main takeaway from this is that applying to Florida State is a two-part process. Students need to complete and submit an application, but that is only part one of the process. So it's super important that they are not doing that the day before a deadline, that they're giving themselves plenty of time to satisfy the rest of the requirements by the deadline day. We have two ways for students to apply this year. They can apply via Common App. They can also apply directly on our website. We have absolutely no preference on which one they choose. It is whatever works best for you and your student. Now, part two that I talked about happens about 24 to 48 hours after the students submit their application. Once they hit submit on that, they're going to get an email from us. That email is going to have a unique link and password to what we call their application status checklist. This is a customized list of next steps for your student. So it's going to have a checklist right there that says these are all of the items that we need your student to complete in order to have a completed application for us. They'll see a little red X at the next to it before we have it, and then that will turn into a green check mark once we've received it. So the goal here is to have all green check marks on that checklist by our deadline day. Now it is a customized list, so it may, the items that are on that list will vary depending on the type of major that your student might be interested in. It can vary whether they're interested in the honors college. Our Care Summer Bridge program is also a very popular program for students who are the first in their family to go to college. And so on the application, students can indicate all of the interest in all of those different things, and their checklist will populate with the specific items that they will need. Everyone will have to submit 4 items. And so those are the ones that are listed on your screen. It is the self-reported student academic record, the SSAR. You've heard about that a couple times this evening. Quite a few of the Florida public institutions will accept this. And so your student can just do it one time and then they can link it to any application that needs that SSAR document. They will also need to submit a first-year resume or a list of activities, a first-year essay, which can be from the Common App, and then they will need to self-report either an ACT, an SAT, or a CLT score. As you've heard, we just recently will be accepting the CLT as well. These are self-reported, which means that students do not need to pay to send us the information from the testing agency during this part of the process. The way that it works is that we are going to ask students to tell us what their grades were, what classes they took, and what their test scores were, all on the honor system. And then once they are admitted to FSU and actually decide to attend the institution, we're going to have them submit the official documentation. We are going to match those up to make sure that they are exact. So you do want to make sure that your student is spending a lot of time making sure that the information is accurate. But again, we want to make sure that we're not putting any barriers to the application process or adding any financial burden. All right. Our deadline days this year are pretty similar to the ones from last year. So we did institute an early action deadline for Florida students only. So since you all will have students who are graduating from Florida high schools, they will be eligible to apply to this early action deadline. It is non-binding, meaning that students are not locked into their decision, so they do not have to come to Florida State if they are offered admission. We will need the application and all of the related materials. So all green check marks on that checklist by October 15th. It's pretty early on this year, so just a little bit over a month. We'll need that information in, and then we'll be able to get them a decision on December 14th. So at FSU, we release all of our decisions on the same day. Students will go right back into their checklist item, and they will be able to see their decision on December 14th. Most students do want to wait to apply because of test scores. They want to continue to try to test and get that score up as high as possible. And so as long as we have one set of scores by the 15th of October, they can submit additional updated scores until December 1st and still receive their decision on December 14th. So we do give a little bit of wiggle room there. If your student's not quite ready to apply by October 15th, we do have that regular decision deadline on December 1st. They'll just have to wait a little bit longer for their decision, and that will be on February 15th. If FSU is at the top of your students list, I highly, highly recommend that they are not applying later than December 1st. We do keep our applications open. They are there on a rolling basis. However, we do fill the majority of our class pretty early on in the year. So highly recommending the earlier that you're applying, the better. Biggest question we get is, what do I need to do to get into Florida State? What do you guys look for in the application? And so we broke down our review to kind of symbolize our torch, our university seal. And there are these three torches on our seal. They stand for the Latin terms for Viris, Artis, and Moris, which means strength, skill, and character. And those are kind of the overarching themes that we're looking for in the application. The strength piece is going to come from that academic rigor, right? We want to see that your student is challenging themselves academically, that they're taking advantage of some of the higher level classes that are being offered at their high school. We'll look at GPA in there as well. The skill piece is going to come from their resume, their list of activities. We want to see what the student is doing outside of the classroom. This can be clubs, it can be sports, it can be a job, it can be family responsibilities, right? We never want to penalize a student for something that is outside of their control. And so really, this is just the space for the student to communicate with us what they're doing outside of the classroom. And then that third piece is going to come primarily from the essay. So that is a really big, important piece of our application review. We want to learn something else about the student. So the essay is really open-ended. It's very flexible in terms of what they can write about. We just want them to think about what they want to tell us, what they feel like we should consider when we are looking at their application for admission. We put all of this together when we're coming up with our admissions decision. This is our admitted student profile. Nothing on this screen is a requirement for admission. What this is the middle 50% of the students who were admitted from last year. You do see a split between summer and fall because we will ask students to indicate on their application if they would like us to review them for the summer term or if they would like us to review them for the fall term. The only difference is start date. Okay, so they will still come in, they'll be a full-fledged Florida State Seminole, but the summer term they will start a little bit earlier, and then the fall term will be the more traditional start date of sometime in August. GPAs are recalculated. We do give students additional weight for advanced courses like AP and dual enrollment and ACE, IB, all of that good stuff, but we weigh it slightly different than how OCPS weighs it, and so their actual weighted GPA will vary a little bit. We super score both SAT and ACT as well. We offer merit-based scholarships to all of our first-year students. The merit-based scholarships are an automatic consideration. So there's no additional applications or anything like that that students will need to complete. The two scholarships that, the two main scholarships that Florida students would be eligible for is the Vera Scholarship, which is a $16,000 award that is distributed over 8 semesters. So it's about $4,000 per year. It is also stackable on top of Bright Futures, prepaid, anything that students are getting through the FAFSA or anything like that. And then we do have an IB student scholarship that is new this year. If your student attends a school that has an IB curriculum and will be earning an IB diploma, there's also some additional scholarship money that's available there. That is not all the scholarships that we look at them for. If you visit the website at the bottom of the screen, there's a full list of all of the scholarships that we in the admissions office are going to look at them for. Last but not least, guys, come and see us. We are not too far. We're about 4 hours north from the Orlando area. We do campus tours year round, Monday through Friday. We also offer some Saturday tours, primarily in the springtime, to not interact with the football stuff. But we would love to come and see you in Tallahassee. It's a really great way for your students to get a feel for if they feel like FSU is going to be a good fit for them. The website visit.fsu.edu is where you can go and get more information about that. And this is my information, so I'll leave you with that. My email is down at the bottom. I am the rep that covers this area, actually live in the Orlando area, so I am not too far away from any of you all. Thank you all so much, and go Noles.
That's awesome. It's great to know that you are an O-Towner just like us. There is tons of questions for FSU in the chat, as no surprise. Yes, all of you will get her slides in your email after this evening. We are going to round out this presentation with another college, and then we are going to move on to our panel discussion. Okay, so colleges, as we are going through our last presentation, or one of the last presentations for the evening, if there is something your school is known for, a specific major or discipline, will you go ahead and put that in the chat, because that's something a lot of families are asking about. So all of you, if you can do that for me, that's great. And then panelists, I'm going to send you our questions so you can start preparing for them in our panelist chat. With that, I am going to turn it over to Florida A&M. And Florida A&M, are you going to be sharing your screen this evening?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, let me see. Can you guys see this okay?
Yes, we can, and we can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Can you see the full presentation?
We see,
There we go.
yes, your version.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to be very brief. I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is LaShonda Swanigan, and I serve as our Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions and Enrollment Management. And I thank you guys for your time. So I'm just going to be very brief because, of course, I know we have a question and answer portion that's coming up. So in regards to what makes Florida A&M University special, I'm just going to list some tops here for those that don't know about Florida A&M University. We are the gym that sits on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee. We share Tallahassee with the phenomenal Florida State University, but we have some very, very, very monumental stats to tote. Number one, we're the #1 public HBCU in the nation. We're the only public HBCU, historically Black college university, in the state of Florida. In regards to that, that means we started out educating people of color. However, we taught a very diverse demographic. As you will see a little later, we're currently ranked number 103 out of several hundred institutions that are located in the nation. Something that makes us unique is we are known for educating and producing top African Americans in the STEM fields. We have some amazing graduates that have gone on to do very well, which we'll get to in just a second. We're #1 HBCU when it comes to research, and we're the top 100 of undergraduate teaching. So these are just some of our amazing alumni that we have. I just want to tell you about some of them. So in regards to this, the first one, this is Kim Godwin. She is currently the head. She runs CBS. She is the boss lady that even people like Robin Roberts, Michael Strahan reports to. That gentleman right next to her, that's Common. He is a very popular actor and activist. Keisha Lance Bottoms was our former mayor of Atlanta, and she served in the White House with President Obama. Mr. John Thompson is the CEO of Microsoft. And that phenomenal young lady that you see there, she's actually the first individual to get her PhD from a top ranking Ivy League institution. And of course, Will Packer, who is a famous alum, who is a producer, film producer of Florida University. So again, I want to be mindful of time. We currently have 98 degree programs with 14 colleges and schools. We do have a law school located in Orlando, Florida. So what I want to get to, the meat and bolts of what we're here to talk about today, is our admissions requirements. So we do have an early action decision deadline, which is November 1st. Because guys, guess what? FAMU, for the first time in history, we had to turn applicants away. We've tripled in applications. So what that means is our average GPA for our starting class of this fall 2020 was a 3.9. even though our requirement is a 3.3. So in regards to that, what's that saying is that we're accepting the top of the top, the creme de la creme of students that are coming to us. 18 academic units. Of course, like all of my other phenomenal institutions that have presented before me, we do require the SAT or ACT, as well as the SAR. Student life, we are known at FAMU for the energy, the vibe. We actually call it, you'll be a part of the FAMU Lee. I'm going to mention, what does that mean, the FAMU Lee? FAMU, and we add that LY. Once you enroll and become a part of, as a student at FAMU, you are literally treated like royalty. You are part of the family. It's like that amazing auntie that smells good, that drives that high class, European vehicle, that treats you first class meal. That's how you're going to be treated here at Florida A&M University. Star rate, and it continues with our student life that we have here. We have Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Wingstop, chocolate smoothie. We have several opportunities for you to get involved in our student life, as well as our athletic program. You see our athletic programs that we have here. Of course, our most popular, which will be our softball, our football program, basketball, and track and field. Those are our most popular athletics that we have here. In regards to student life, and to round out my presentation, student life, we've actually busted out the seams when it comes to enrollment and enrolling students. So we had to build 2 new facilities, housing facilities, brand spanking new, as well as acquire 2 actually apartment complexes that are located in the city of Tallahassee. That's how much students are wanting to come to Florida A&M University. So we do have adequate housing. We also have amazing international programs, as you see here. We have students that comes to us from over 60 countries here in this beautiful world that we share with our partners. Just want to show you, we do have a mobile app. You can take part of that. Of course, we want you to stay connected. If you want to take a virtual tour, follow us on social media, because like I said, our students, we just brag differently. We have partnerships with Nike. We actually, not sure if you guys are aware, but we have some Nike shoes that are out that are FAMU exclusive. LeBron James. We actually have a CEO that went to Converse that's now moved to Nike that is a FAMU grad. So we're doing some amazing things here at Florida A&M University. And what I want to let you know is, come strike with us. If you're not aware, our mascot is the Rattler. So that's what we like to tell students. Come make an impact and strike with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know some folks are asking about our UF attendee, and I do believe that we do have somebody joining. There was an admissions representative who was ill this evening, and they had to switch their presenter. So just let's be mindful of that and give them a little bit of grace as they attempt to join. All right, so as that's happening, we are going to move into our part of our presentation that is question and answer. So with that said, we are going to come on over here. All right, so all of my participants can you put your cameras on, please? We have some exciting questions for you this evening. We won't be able to take responses from everybody, but we will do our best to be equitable with this work. So we are going to get everybody in here. So the first question that I've heard from just about everybody in the chat is, should my student wait for their best test scores to apply? And I'm actually having this debate currently with my senior, or do I go ahead and apply and then update my scores later? Who would like to take that one first?
So I can speak
Emma.
for, yeah.
Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
my bad.
No, that's no problem.
Yeah, so I can speak for Florida Gulf Coast. So our early action period is August 1st to November 1st. So I always try to tell students you can only be considered for merit scholarships if you complete your application within the early action period, which means submit test scores and high school GPA, a transcript. So if you don't have the test scores that you need, I always tell students that's fine. You will be able to send in the updated test scores to be reconsidered for merit scholarship as far as FGCU. So we won't release decisions until sometime in December. And even if you get a decision, it'll either be placed on a hold or you'll be admitted. And you still can test up through March to be reconsidered for merit scholarship. So here at FGCU, I would just say submit what you have now and then update it as the process go along.
Okay, would anybody else like to chime in on that? Emma, go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. We kind of have a similar admissions process where that first deadline of November 1st, and so hopefully students can receive their decision by November 15th. I did mention in my presentation, we have a priority deadline for scholarships of January 15th. So students still have time to send in updated test scores for scholarship purposes. But since we have that November 1st deadline, I have a lot of students reaching out to me currently who say they have test scores, but they're taking it again in October. Should they still apply now? I always encourage students to do so because we are accepting those test scores up until that last day of November 1st.
Okay, awesome. Next up, another one that's come up in the chat quite a bit tonight. What is more important to you when you are reviewing applications? Grades or activities related to that person's major, or are they of equal value?
I'll start off. Oh,
Okay,
go
go ahead. Thanks, Elizabeth.
I'll just, and we all probably will have a little bit of different answers, but primarily we are looking, we're academic institutions, and we want to make sure that students are going to do well when they get on our campus. So the primary thing that most colleges and universities are looking for are those what you've taken in high school, the grades you've earned, how prepared you are to get to our campus. But we're also building a class. So we are building a unique campus. We want to have people with lots of different interests. And if everybody had the same interests and we're just going to class and going home, it would be a pretty boring place on our campus. So we do look at those things that you put on your application. And if a school is asking you about what you're interested in, tell them. We all have large applicant pools, and if we only have a test score and a GPA to look at, decisions can be pretty easy to make. But what we're doing when we're building the class is looking for those students that are interested in music and athletics and student government that are going to make us really interesting places. So the primary thing is going to be your academics, but we also want to know who you are as a person.
Awesome, thank you. What else? Anyone else want to join in on that bandwagon?
feel like that was really well said. You are a student first, and we want to set you up for success. And so we want to be sure that you can perform at the college level. And so academics are a reason why we're all here. But yeah, I think it's super important to build that community at school. And so we really are looking at those activities and wanting to really get a feel for who you are as a person.
So along those same lines, right? Obviously, students are more than just test scores. I know that when I remember, waiting for my ACT score back then to come in the mail. Don't judge me, right? When I first applied to UCF and, hoping that that score was going to be the score. So if you don't have the score that you saw on the slide, do you advise your child just to go, this school isn't for you? Or do you give it a shot, even if it is maybe a little higher than what you might have received? What is your best advice for parents?
I can touch on this a little bit too. I think that the score obviously is a component of the application. But again, I think a lot of us review applications holistically, which means that we're looking at a lot of other factors. And so the scores that we're showing are not necessarily, we're not telling you have to have those scores. And what I tell students a lot of times, because that's a big, point of anxiety, and students want to make sure that the scores are where they need to be. I tell them, we look at a bunch of different components. And if that's the only piece of your application that is not quite where it needs to be, but you feel like you have a really strong application otherwise, go ahead and apply. We're going to consider all of that other stuff as well.
Okay, awesome. So college essays. So the questions came out for the Common App, right? Like in July. And I know I was one of those moms that I ruined my daughter's summer vacation because I said, let's start on these right now. And she was like, Mom, you're crazy. So do you read them? And how important are they? And if you do read them, what do you consider makes a great college essay? Oh, she's ready. FIU. She's got her hand in the air.
Yes. So, fun fact about our admissions process, we do not require essays nor recommendations letters. Okay. I see my sis over there with you. What was that? UWF? I see you, UNF. My bad. UNF. I see you. We do not require essays nor recommendation letters. However, we'll use that for the scholarship, so you can remix it for those applications. But for admissions, we mainly look at your rigorous courses. That's why we look at your weighted GPA and your test scores. We have multiple pathways to fit your academic success. So everyone's journey to become an FIA Panther like myself will be different, but if this is what you want, we're gonna make sure it works, okay? But that's how we do it. Enjoy.
Well, my daughter would love you. But yeah, so if you do read those essays for scholarships or applications or both, what do you consider makes one that really stands out to you? Is it a personal story? What is it that really gets that admissions officer's attention?
For me, when I'm looking at essays, I see a lot of students that write essays that is in regards to like a lot of hardship. And I definitely empathize with a lot of those hardships, but I always want to see like where a student has grown at. So if they talk about the hardships, at least talk about how you grew from it, because when you evaluating, an application, if you had those hardships, and sometimes in the transcript it'll show like how you performed in the classroom with the hardships. So when you're looking at it from a college perspective, we're also looking at it like, would we be setting the student up for failure if they come to college and it's not what they expected, or it's something it's very big transition. So it's something that you really have to consider when you're looking at the essays is, did they grow from this? Because they're going to have to grow at the college level too. And if they can't grow from it, then you might be setting them up for failure potentially. So I would just say talk about areas in which you've maybe grown from some of those hardships and how it kind of built your character to who you are today.
Okay. So thinking about that, what is the top reason freshmen are not successful on your campus?
I can start off, and I'm sure we all have lots of different answers for that. But I think that sometimes students don't realize that coming onto our campus is going to be very different than high school. And it's not just the next year that you're going into, it's a whole different environment. You're going to be a lot more independent. You're going to be learning a lot of things about yourself, just being able to kind of live on your own and have something that you haven't kind of had before. But the classes are going to be differently structured, and I don't think sometimes students are really aware of that they'll be differently structured. You won't be going to the same class 5 days a week. You may only have class once a week, and it'll be for 3 hours, and then you'll meet the next week. And if students don't kind of really get a mindset with that, sometimes they struggle a little bit. And the first year is going to be a transition, and don't expect it to go as smoothly as it's. I think almost I can't imagine anyone who didn't struggle their freshman year. I know I certainly didn't. And I think it's normal, and students should expect that it's going to be a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I saw Fam, you wanted to jump in as well. Go for it.
Yes, I would say the number one thing that I see the reason is because students are able to balance their responsibilities, the academics, but they also want to be active and social on campus. And so I really believe that a student really learn that skill early, even some of us as adults, we're still managing that. But the earlier that a student can manage and develop a calendar between getting their work done, their academics done, and rewarding themselves, they have to see it as rewarding themselves with some social activities that will make a successful student.
That is a great piece of advice for parents. So really building that resiliency, that intrinsic motivation, that you work first and play second, that is definitely a key part of college. So
I'm
you
sorry.
mentioned, oh, go for
One
it.
more that I think the students really need to hear is you have to ask for help. I see a lot of students that do not ask for help. They don't even know where to start, and I think that's just the main thing I see. Not even just here, but just in young adults going into the college life. Like they don't understand. Like you can't do it by yourself. You're gonna need some kind of support, even if you were successful at the high school level. Like you don't know it all. So just ask for the help. Don't be afraid. That's what everyone on campus is here for.
I love that point because that is so true. Especially, like I said, I have a sophomore in college, and I remember that first year, she really felt like somebody was going to come from some magical place and help her through that first year, just like we do in high school, and she didn't really think to go out and ask for that help or really pay attention in the college tour process to where that help was, right? They were looking at all the other things, the food hall, the dining hall, but they missed where the tutoring spot was or all of those different things. So along that same line, it's easy to get lost your first year, whether you're a medium-sized school, a large school. I've been to both, and I have kids that have gone to both, but they're all bigger than a high school. So what does your school have or put in place to make your school feel small to freshmen?
I think I'm going to go ahead on this one. So, with UNF, I mean, we're a medium-sized campus and we are continuously growing. So, it's a great time to kind of like look at us maybe on that bigger scale. But I can speak maybe for a majority of the SUS schools, we all have different ways of engagement. So, there's great ways to get involved on campus for you to kind of create those cohorts yourself if you don't already have one within a program that you're studying. I personally was involved in Greek life on UNF's campus, and that really kind of narrowed down my social circle, but it still allowed me to meet a lot of other people. Also, speaking in terms of academics, you're still able if to get involved with your professor. If you're in a very big university or a smaller scale, all professors have office hours. They have maybe a teacher's assistant, different tutoring opportunities. So it still kind of gives you every opportunity to kind of make it individualistic to your own experience. So you can have a completely different experience than your roommate or one of your friends you met. So it really is just kind of how you learn to navigate it and make it a small, manageable opportunity for you in your college experience.
Anyone else want to jump in?
I can speak to some of our, some of our honors colleges. They're a really great way to kind of shrink down the size of the university, kind of be in some smaller class settings and things like that. living learning communities. So typically school will have, we have like residence halls that will group students together by similar areas of interest or majors. So that's a really great way for them to meet people that have similar interests to them. All the living learning communities will also take class together. And so that's a really great way to find that, built-in support, especially in that first semester.
FIU, I think, or you wanted to share as well?
No, FSU, UNF pretty much tied it together on how we, as a collective, being schools in Florida, how we make it home for our students. So, yeah, I mean, just being, I strongly encourage students to tour our campus to see if the campus is home for you. One, when you are admitted, definitely get involved, meet your peers. And as you are doing that and progressing through your whole 4 years, because we're hoping you're stay 4 for 4, that the campus feels like a small home to you, no matter how big or small that campus is.
Yeah, I have to agree with all of you. I can say that even from my own college experience, I chose a dorm at UCF that had a specific focus back then that helped for me. It helped to join a Greek life organization. That might not be for everybody, but joining a club or another sort of organization is a great way to make college feel smaller. And many of our universities have a first generation program. So if you are on the call and you're thinking to yourself, I didn't go to college in Florida. I don't know what this is about, or I've never been to college at all. My dad never went to college, and so he didn't know how to help me navigate that process. I would recommend any parent on this call finding out about the first generation programs at your public college or university, because oftentimes they allow students to come a couple weeks early or over the summer or have a bridge program. There's lots of different words for it, but basically what it means is they create a small school within a school and really help your child and your whole family through that first time at college experience. And I really, really, really recommend that. There's been a few great questions in the chat from parents, so I want to turn to their questions. First question, and we get it every time. Dual enrollment or AP? Do you consider both equally rigorous? Are you going to get thrown out if you pick one or the other? What is a parent to do? Because a lot of them are going into those AP classes in their senior year. And then we do have some juniors that are on the call as well.
I can answer that. So at FAMU, of course, we take AP, ACE, dual enrollment. Not sure if parents are aware that our Board of Governors have a new regulation. I believe it's 6.007, to where students who graduate in high school with their AA degree, they actually can come in as a transfer student. So I'm not sure if you as parents are aware of that. So what I recommend is for students to go ahead and take advantage of that. Here in Florida, student can get their AA degree. They can come in as a transfer student. They could be either coded as a transfer or freshman. It depends on the university. So it really benefits the student. The challenge though with doing dual enrollment is the track, right? It's more of a liberal arts track. So they may not go up into those upper level division courses. Those courses may have to be reevaluated. So if I can speak for Florida A&M and as someone who works with our transfer students as well, I really love when students come in with transfer credits, dual enrollment credits.
Okay, any other or a differing perspective?
I can take the different perspective. I see a lot of students who come in potentially with like an AA who want to go into our nursing program, for example. So we do have what's called our FAN program, and I know some other universities have this as well. It is the freshman admit nursing, so where you can get in as a first year student. If you did dual enrollment and you have your AA, this kind of could discount you from that program. So it really kind of depends on what academic track that you would like to go to within your 4-year institution, because sometimes having a lot of college credits can hinder that opportunity at the institution that you're going to. So it really just kind of depends. I also kind of introduced the way that we recalculate the GPA as well, and both are weighted equally in that sense of when we recalculate it. So it really is dependent on the student and what they would like to do academically in their future. Of course, if they're coming in with dual enrollment credits, we'll figure it out. They'll work with an academic advisor. Same with AP. We just want to make sure that they have the best kind of academic track all the way through their bachelor's degree.
So couple things I just want to point out to capitalize on what she's saying. In OCPS, there are a lot of programs that allow students to get an AA if they choose to do that. But just remember that when you get an AA, right, that's a fabulous thing to do, right? You've knocked off 2 years of college. It's amazing. But when you come in, you're not a freshman, right? Like you're not a freshman. And so even though like so for some freshman scholarships, there's some different things that go into that. That doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It just means you have to think about it, right? If you're on an engineering track, it might be amazing to knock off 2 years, right? But for other students, it may not work out. The other thing to remember as a parent is if your child doesn't have a strong sense of what they want to do, it can be not beneficial because then they only have 2 years to figure it out. I can speak as somebody who was that student. When I arrived at UCF, I didn't have my AA, but I had just shy of 2 years of college done. And I was only at UCF for one semester before I had to declare a major. Lucky for me, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, so it worked out great. Here I am. But everybody else that came in my friend group spent a lot of time switching majors back and forth because they didn't really know what they wanted to be when they grew up. So you have to know your student and know kind of what is best for them. All right, here's the big one. Can anyone comment on the new test policy announced this Monday? What does it all mean to parents? How are you going to use the CLT? For the love of God, what is the CLT?
I can start off. The CLT is another option for students. Really, we're looking at it exactly the same way we would look at the SAT or the ACT. Instead of having two options, now students have three. So that's how you really should look at it. They're different tests. The SAT is a very different test than the ACT, and the CLT is a different test from those two as well. So what you need to do is you need to look at the tests themselves, go on their websites, see what they test, and kind of feel which one you would do better on. And we also, most of us will encourage students to take kind of all of the options. We've always said, take both the SAT and the ACT because everyone's brain is a little bit differently and you might do better in one over the other and you won't know which one you'll do well in until you've taken them both. I mean, that might be an option for you, but we will all be looking at them exactly the same. There's no difference. We have no preference in the state university system between the three. It's just a new option for students.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions? So I have some questions about the ACT writing. Is that required by your schools? So if you have a specific answer to that, feel free to put it into the chat. Here is another question. If I have an AA or if my child aspires to get an AA by the time they graduate, will I be able to transfer or through one of your direct connect programs? So does that help increase my chance of getting into your college? And the crowd falls silent.
Could you repeat the question? Oh, wait.
So we, all of the state universities in the state of Florida have what's called an articulation agreement with all of the colleges in the state. And so if you were to earn an AA degree, whether during high school because of some of the new regulations, but especially if you earn an AA after high school, you will come in as what's called an upper division transfer student. And that process is substantially easier for a lot of our institutions. It is a little bit less competitive. We're typically just looking at those first 2 years of college credit and kind of determining from that your admissions decision. A lot of the transfer application revolves around having earned the prerequisites for a specific major. So that's the other kind of key difference there is that you have to have completed certain coursework in order to be admitted directly into a specific major.
Okay, awesome. Let's see, honors classes, are they worth it compared to AP classes? I love it. Everyone's like, well, so as a parent, go for it, Jamari.
It just depends on the student, I mean, regardless, I feel like if you do just honors, you don't have the opportunity to potentially get college credits. and if you do AP and you do good in the class, then that will help boost your GPA. But you might or might not get, pass the test in order to get the college credit. So I think it just depends on the student, and how they test, how they perform, to be honest with you. But it's really up to the student.
Okay, so we're going to do one round robin to close us out. If you could give our high school students or their families one piece of advice in picking a college, what would it be? And I'll just go around my screen. UNF, you're up first.
So I think one of my first pieces of advice, I'm definitely a unicorn. I was the only UNF was the only school I applied to, and I knew I wanted to go there. And I found out before my senior year. So, but for the different students who are picking out the colleges, I mean, you really have to find where you feel at home. When I toured UNF's campus, I felt at home. Speaking at FSU, my mom went to FSU, so we love the Knolls. But when I was on that campus, I didn't really feel like I could be myself. So if you haven't toured the universities, go do it. I have a lot of parents who say they do the tour of the whole Florida state system. So definitely you'll have this weird feeling that you feel at home there, and you know that everything that you've set out to accomplish, you can accomplish at that institution.
It's like finding your soulmate, but finding your soul college. All right, let's see. Andrea, you're up next.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest piece too. Just really find your fit. Coming from a school that has a very long history of, alumni and family members and things like that, I think as a parent, you really, really want your kids to go to the place where you went and where you had such an amazing time. But your student is their own person, and there is a college for everyone. And so I think really getting away from the names and the rankings and all of that stuff, and really just focusing in on what you want out of your experience and what you feel, where you feel the most at home. I think that's going to be like your number one thing.
All right, awesome. Jamari?
I would say, kind of the same thing in a sense. Definitely tour the schools to see which one makes the most sense. And I think the main thing is focusing on what you do now that is successful, that will help you with the transition into college. So, some places might offer more of an emphasis on research, and you might love research, or some places might offer more of a community style, or, a personal relationship with professors. And you might be from a small town where you have all of your family. So you would feel out of place if you were around a lot of people. Some people are from big cities, so going to huge universities is something that they're comfortable with. So I think it's just kind of depending on what you're comfortable with, what will help you transition into college that isn't very different than what you do currently.
All right. Elizabeth, UCF.
I think with the college search process, you need to keep it in perspective, but don't make it the all-encompassing thing that you never stop thinking about throughout the next year or 2 years. Keep it in perspective that you don't, an admission letter does not make who you are, no matter what school it is. And if you do the research and you do the kind of trying to find that right fit for you, you're going to find a place that's really a good fit for you, and you're going to have a great experience. But don't spend 24/7 for the next year or two just obsessing about schools and rankings and all of those things that will drive you crazy, because that's not good for your mental health. And we don't want you to be completely stressed in your junior and senior years. It's a fun process. There's a little anxiety to it, but we don't want you to be over obsessed about it. So keep it in perspective.
FAMU.
Absolutely. I would first say no and remember your why for why you want to come to college. I know that is so elementary, but you don't have to come to college in order to be successful. I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm very transparent and honest with my students. College is amazing, but very successful people have taken different paths. So know why, because your why have to center you when it gets tough, when it gets very challenging. Don't do it because your parents want you to go. Don't do it because, oh, we need to go to this particular institution. Know your why so that you can be grounded. And also talk to an upperclassman, to the institution that you're looking to go to.
I love that. And your why can't be just to go to college. It has to be for a purpose beyond that. Yeah, absolutely. Marie.
Okay. So one recommendation. Okay. Besides touring, I would say just keep yourself organized throughout this process. So creating an Excel spreadsheet of a list of all the schools you're interested in applying, but and then have their dates and deadlines and be able to tick off when you finish, applying to this school and that school. I think that's the most important thing when doing this, because there's a lot of times in my profession where students feel like they complete their application and they didn't. Right. So having yourself organized and list what all the schools require, especially if it's scholarships you're interested in, definitely do that. Just to add one more, don't just settle for what the schools can offer you for scholarships. There's 2 billion worth of scholarships outside of the institutions, and a lot of us will accept whatever money you give us. Okay, so Florida Bright Futures, Florida Prepaid, and XYZ, bring as much money into the schools, and a lot of the bigger scholarships are available. So don't miss opportunities to apply to all the other scholarships outside of the institution so that you can get paid to go to school. I'm a two-time alum from FIU. I have no loans. So that alleviates a lot of stress when you're going out into the workforce, when you don't have any debt, that you can freely go and actually work and travel and research without that on your back. Okay. So those are my tidbits.
Awesome. Alexa?
So I would definitely encourage everyone to keep an open mind when they're in the application process. Definitely try to, do some research and look into several different schools, maybe not just one school. Keep your options open, and definitely try to do a campus tour or attend any kind of admissions events that you're able to, just to learn some more information about a specific school. I know when I was in my college application process, I toured several different schools in Florida. And when I did do my campus tour at UWF, I absolutely loved the campus. I had some really great interactions with students and faculty on campus at my campus tour. So I just felt really, comfortable there, and that really helped me decide that I wanted to attend UWF. So if you're able to, definitely try to do a campus tour or any kind of admissions events that you're able to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So guys, I know there was a lot of information tonight. Parents, I hope you found this valuable. Each of your students has access to a program called Zello. If you haven't seen it, make sure you ask them about it. It is a college planning tool that provides a checklist. They should be working on that at school, and they should have that on their launchpad. I've also posted the latest scholarship bulletin from OCPS in the chat. Here's another thing I want to tell you before you leave. This is our first college panel, but it's not our last. Every month this year, we have college panels from HBCUs to Florida private colleges, Hispanic serving universities. There's a special one just for Valencia. And yes, I know it is so disappointing that UF couldn't be here tonight because of an illness. We will reschedule that and set up one for you guys. We also have some that are specific to military institutions and bridge programs. So please be on the lookout, check your text messages. And if you want to register now, please visit parentacademy.ocps.net and you can register for all of them now, and that way you can set it and forget it. I want to say thank you so much to all of our fantastic panelists who stuck it out with us for 2 hours. They're tired. You did it, guys. And at the end of this session, the session was recorded. It will be posted on the OCPS Families channel. If you're not currently a subscriber to the OCPS Families channel, we definitely recommend it because that is where we post all of our sessions, and they're all recorded afterwards. There's an amazing college and career playlist on there that's curated by your children's college and career counselors. And that would be the last thing I would tell you, is that every single high school in OCPS has a 12-month college and career counselor that their entire job, different than a school counselor, is to get your child into college or a post-secondary institution. If you haven't met them, make it your mission to do it tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Bye.